Hey everyone, welcome back to On the Mic podcast series. I'm your host Chakrapani, and with me is Vijay. Today we're diving into a global tug of war that's shaping prices, jobs, and diplomacy, the US India tariff story. So, if you think tariffs are just about tax numbers, think again. These tiny percentages are quietly steering billion-dollar industries and changing the way both countries do businesses. So grab your coffee. This episode is going to be a ride. Vijay, I welcome you. Please continue.
Uh, Hi, Chakri.
Before
Thanks.
we start off, Jai Ganesha, let's start with that
Yeah,
and let's proceed.
okay. Thanks, Chakri, for the sweet intro for today's topic. Jai Shri Ganesha. Before we actually head into the topic, I wanted to kind of tell to viewers that although uh, our channel is little new, we are very infant. But whatever the predictions or whatever the things that we kind of discussed that actually came in true, that in the due course of the our discussion, I'll bring that surprising points. But over to you, Chakri, for today.
Yeah. So just I was mentioning this. So if we think, no, uh, I just want to narrate a particular a point. What if I tell you a 25% tariff in one sector would decide whether your next smartphone is made in India or assembled in Vietnam? That's how powerful trade wars have become. So here I would like to discuss a few scenarios. Uh, to begin with, I would like to touch base on solar showdown. So in the year last year, in 2024, the US reinstated tariffs of up to about 25% on solar modules imported from Southeast Asia, citing circumvention of China tariffs. So in the process, India, while aiming to be a solar manufacturing hub, got caught in the crossfire, with US buyers cutting back on Indian imports due to cost hikes. So basically, the point that I want to make here is India had a golden chance to lead in solar exports, but with these tariffs back in play, American companies started rerouting orders to Mexico and Vietnam. So when India's Make in India solar mission was picking up speed, it hits a tariff speed bump. So yeah, this is one particular point that I want to discuss. And Vijay, would you like to add any points to this of your?
No, yeah, definitely. I think I'll just wanted to add something on the telephone part, the phone
Sure, go ahead.
which you
Yeah.
said that 25%. I think if you look at when this all the entire drama of the tariffs have started,
Right.
what happened is I think Trump has put in. I mean, Trump administration. I should not single out as Trump, but Trump administration has put a lot of pressure on Tim Cook. I mean, Apple
Mhm.
uh, to kind of stop manufacturing units in India.
Right.
They have put enormous pressure, like wherever they meet, like they kind of put lot of pressure and all, and they said they are going to increase the tariffs to 50% and also. Still, Apple stood by its stand and they said that they are going to only produce the Apple phones from India. The
Right.
logic is economics. If they produce the same Apple phone in USA, it would cost close to 3,500 or $4,000. The same Apple phone, if they produce in India, uh, let's say it would cost close to $1,000. Even if you put a tariff of 50% and give it to the US consumer, it would be like $1,500. Still, the consumer is at a very, very good profit. So as you said that, even though the tariff is like a 25 or a 50%, again, sector to sector, the business firms are taking a decision what to do and go about it. Over to you, Chakri.
So yeah, just the one good point that uh, we have to take a note of in terms of these tariffs is while tariffs hurt exports, they also pushed India to invest 20,000 crore rupees more into domestic solar capacity. So what looked like a setback at the outset uh, might actually fuel long-term strength. So that's something that we haven't envisaged before, which as the time progressed, we could see those things happening in the real time as a ground reality. So moving from the sunlight to silicon, let's talk about tech turf war. So the US CHIPS Act between 2022 to 25, they offered billions in subsidies to domestic semiconductor manufacturing. So in India, they launched its own 76,000 rupee crore Semicon India mission. Both countries now competing for the same global chip giants like TSMC, Micron, etc. So the irony here is both US and India being friends at strategic level, but when it comes to chips, they are both chasing the same companies. So Micron sets up a $2.7 billion plant in Gujarat, partly funded by Indian subsidies. Yes, at the same time, the US offered similar perks back at home. So it's like two best friends trying to impress the same date. So yeah, Vijay, any add-ons to this?
No, I'll leave that good thoughts to the audience for their imagination. I think you cut down or you put in a very good punchline on that. So I don't want to disturb
Okay.
that flow, that melody. But
Okay.
as I said at the start of this discussion, like I said, like we are going to kind of tell like what went right with our predictions. I
Right.
mean, I should not say prediction, but whatever we are talking for last 3-4 sessions, I think that
Basically, we have
came
been
into
making our observations more than predicting
yeah,
or
making
something.
yeah,
We're making our
yeah, our
observations and
observations.
yeah, yes,
Exactly. So I think I'll reveal one now. Maybe the one I'll keep it towards the end. The one
sure,
is
sure, sure.
like if you look at like whenever we are discussing, like we emphasize more thrust on that India is a strategical partner to US. Although like if you look across the market, every channels are going bonkers about it. Like tariff is hitting US, and there's a lot of dent in impact in US India relationships and all. But India and US have very key strategical partnership in the defense area.
Right,
That has been proved. Whatever we have said that we are a key strategical partner of USA, that has been proved. 2 days
right,
back, entire world has no clue. Our defense minister and in the US administration, their security related personnel, actually they have signed a 10 years defense pact with India or a defense cooperation with India,
hmm, right, right,
which actually shocked China, which actually shocked Saudi Arabia, which actually shocked Pakistan as well. So our observations, whatever we have put in, like are moving in the right direction. Over to you, Chakri.
right. So and the interesting factor here is what people don't realize about semiconductors are if you see it's a new oil segment kind of a thing. So control the chips and you control the world's data pipelines. So far we were talking about oil pipelines. So now that semiconductors has a separate uh, growth and a uh, separate growth altogether, we can see data pipelines as well. So with this, we can, I mean, I would like to move from this uh, topic to iPhone economics. So if you see, Apple makes 14% of its global iPhones in India today, as per 2025 data. We're still in third quarter of 2025. So the US still imposes tariffs on key components made in China, forcing Apple to diversify. So India's import duties on components ranging anywhere between 15 to 20 percentage have raised costs for local assembly. So here is the everyday impact. You pay 5,000 rupees more for your iPhone, not because of innovation, but because of the tariffs that were involved, or rather tariffs being at play. So it's like the phone's price has a political tax tag. Yeah. Vijay, any views that you would like to add to these points?
Maybe I'll put on the I'd like to add a few points on the semiconductor thing.
Sure, sure.
Uh,
Right.
as they say, like petrol is like a black gold, and for semiconductors, the critical elements that required for production are the rare earth metals. So, which country has more rare earth metals now are going to lead the entire world?
For sure, it is China
So,
at the moment.
China has the processing capabilities, although they have the highest. One thing China has edge all over the world is like they have that refining capacity, which the entire world does not have. Like
Right.
their administration have realized 10, 15 years back that uh, rare earth metals are going to be like a liquid gold. So they invested and they're reaping the benefits. Even today, if any country wants to get into at least close to China, it would definitely take 3 to 5 years of time because the setting up
Right.
of land, because like now Australia has some technology, India has some talent, so they have to do it on a global basis. Otherwise, like it would be tough to compete with China. So why semiconductors will rule? Because they are made up of what do you say, rare earth metals. So in a way, both the industries, people who have good control will actually rule the world for the next 25, 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just adding to the points, I mean, moving from semiconductors to the iPhones, if you look at the upside, now India's export of iPhones have crossed $15 billion this year. And I'm talking uh, until the quarter three of 2025. If you look at it, that's a massive win for local jobs. So the underlying point here I would like to mention is when a luxury phone becomes a national strategy tool, the world has changed. So now moving on from phones, there is a spicy story brewing literally that is at the kitchen. Meaning, I just would like to touch base on spice and steel battles. Uh, I mean, if you recall, just in the very beginning of our discussions, I mentioned, uh, once or twice that US started imposing, tariffs on our steel and aluminum. Basically, that's the route that I want to, uh, refresh our memory once. So the US still keeps tariffs on Indian steel, that's 25%, and aluminum 10% from exactly Trump era rules. So India retaliated with tariffs on US almonds, walnuts, and apples in response to their uh, you know tariffs on us. So bilateral trade impacted uh, about $12 billion worth of goods affected on both sides. So the irony here is an Indian steelmaker pays extra to sell metal to the US, and an American farmer pays extra to sell apples here. What is the end result? The middle class in both countries pays more at the store. So, any views that you would want to add here, Vijay?
I think like we'll do this detailed tariffs on more in more detail
Sure.
because like I want to keep my comments for that particular session, but I wanted to add the second point here. Like if you look at our discussions, like we were always saying that if because of this tariff exercise, like one nation that is going to actually get hit most would be the country like who is imposing the tariffs. In
Right.
this case, like US has imposed the tariff. So if you look at Piyush Goyal's interview with Times Now three days back,
Right.
when he was asked about the question of US tariffs, he said like that is not at all a worry for India at all, even it is 50% or 70%, because he said at the end of the day it is the US consumer who is going to pay, not the Indian consumer. So we are not at all worried on what tariff structure US has put. But what he has specifically mentioned, like in connecting with what Chakri has discussed today, he said like we are working on tariff structure on a product base. Let's say
Right.
like for steel, we want something. For agri, we want something. Or for gems and jewelry, we are the top exporters, we want something. So we are working on a sector wise. There could be sectors, even if they put 50 or 70%, we are okay with it because we feel that we are not that competitive in that particular segment. The whole
Right.
strategy, what India is discussing now with US is that, and why US is puzzled how to deal with India and tariffs is that we are going with a very customized approach. Let's say in
Right.
governments, like our nearest our competitors are like Vietnam and Philippines. They also produce the garment. So
Right.
because like our cost of production is little high compared to Vietnam and Bangladesh, so we want a tariff structure cut down so that our price is equal to their input.
They
So India is working at a segment wise, ensuring that we are in competition. We are not worried on the number of the tariff, but we wanted the tariff structure in a way which suits our conditions and economics. So that like the
exactly,
weighted
exactly.
average, if together all the tariffs are most beneficial to the Indians. Yeah.
Right, right. And the point that he made was that India doesn't look this tariffs exercise putting things into one single basket. Instead, they want to segregate from sector to sector and deal with it accordingly.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
put it in that way.
Yes. So
Yeah. So I
uh,
mean,
good.
yeah, like was mentioning about this, we call the spices and steel battles. So both sides say it's about protecting jobs, but whose jobs basically at the end of the day? So in a single year, these tariffs added nearly $500 millions to consumer costs across both nations. Invisible tax no one voted for, nor signed for, nor asked for. So now
Yeah.
moving on from you know from this particular segment to the green war, that's not so green again. Meaning to say the EV equation. The US Inflation Reduction Act (IRA) gives big subsidies for electric vehicles, but only if parts are made in North America. That's the condition that they have come up with. So India, meanwhile, raised import duties on EVs to 70% to push local manufacturing. For example, Tesla wants to enter India but seeks tariff cuts. Talks are still ongoing as on as of third quarter of 2025. That's the current status as far as the Tesla is concerned. It's subject to correction as we speak. So it's a tariff tango. The US says buy American, India says make in India. So in the process, Tesla has got in the middle. It's stuck in crossfire. So if India cuts tariffs, it risks hurting its new EV startups. So if it doesn't, Tesla might never build locally. So, and the average buyer ends up waiting longer and paying more. So, what is the catch here? So, basically, this is not just about cars. It is about who owns the future of clean energy. So, any inputs that you would want to add, Vijay?
No, I think the new Trump administration, as we were discussing in one of our prior discussions as well,
Right.
they had a document developed by Heritage Foundation. It's called the 2025 document and all. In that, they literally said that no more caring for the climate and all. Like we are going to, because if you wanted to create a manufacturing hub, you are going to compromise on the climate and greenery and all. So I think they are in that particular sort of a mode. And coming back to the Tesla and what do you say, why we have put the tariffs and all, it's again totally as we discussed initially also in our discussion in last 4 days.
Right.
See, India always wants to protect its industries. Like we have Mahindra, Tata, like they are developing wonderful EV vehicles which are absolutely made in India. We get a
I mean, that's
cost
the
of
that's
10,
the
12
entire
lakhs.
purpose of this very project of what do you call self-sustainability and Atmanirbhar Bharat, right?
So definitely we don't want Tesla to come and give a cheap cars so that which
Exactly.
hurts our industry. I
Right.
think on an average, like the Tesla car costs somewhere around 18 to 24 lakhs, which I think no one will put in that sort of thing.
Because
So
see, in that segment already we have good amount of competition with already the existing players among
yeah,
the players which are already
Mahindra
existing in
and
the
Tata,
market.
like they have got wonderful models. Like the
Exactly.
Mahindra models are like A plus A star models. Even like I was looking into some reports and all or some discussions I was just following. Like of late, the China's electric vehicles are creating some problem because of the chip issue, and also as such, like there is little bit people are very skeptical about China's quality. So their EV, like which they dumped in the European Union market, I think it's slowly kind of losing its color or shining, losing its shine. Because their chips are not performing up to the mark and they're seeing a lot of troubles. But if you look compared to India, I think our EV vehicles are extremely doing.
Oh,
And
for
whatever
sure.
the government is taking, I think definitely they're taking very good positive measures to ensure that our industries are uh, up and running and not getting impacted by these sort of things.
Certainly, certainly. See, if you see in the recent times, Mahindra's vehicles have got very good facelift. They really look very pleasing in terms of the Mahindra vehicles earlier. In that sense, I think Mahindra's EV vehicles are really doing it. Of course, vehicles from other players as well, for
Tata,
sure.
I think one thing that's very successful is Tata Nexon EV. That's like a super hit model. Actually.
Of course, of course. In Tata, that is one particular model which has really captured
Yeah,
captured good in the
exactly.
market, great in the market, I would say.
I think Chakri, like we'll let's wrap up the discussion. So, any final thoughts on whatever the
Yes,
points
yes,
you have put across today, so that I
certainly.
can add my yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. So if I just sum it up, what is the real takeaway per se, if I ask? So basically, tariffs are no longer just about trade. They have become tools of influence, then negotiation, and even national identity. But if we see the opportunity even in the bleakest of times, uh, if India and the US can align their interests, they could power half the world's supply chain together. So instead of tariff war, say imagine a tariff alliance, tech from Silicon Valley and manufacturing muscle from India. So I think that would be a beautiful. I mean, it could be uh, well worked out. So next time when we buy a phone, drive an EV, or install a solar panel, let's try and remember there is a silent tariff story behind it. So trade wars don't always stand with weapons. Sometimes they start with spreadsheets. Yeah. So with this, I would like to conclude. And uh, if you have liked today's episode, share it with your friends and tag us on the mic. Tomorrow, let's touch base or explore other topics, how global trade policies are shaping the jobs of the future. So with this, I would like to conclude the show tonight. Har Har Mahadev. Uh, Good night. Jai Hind.
Har Har Mahadev. Good night. We'll catch up tomorrow. Bye bye.